Hello, Tony here from Lightwave Digital. In today's tutorial we're going to be looking at the different render passes and just how we can manipulate a few of them when we export them in Photoshop or any other 2D package. So I've got this basic shape on a scene here, and so I could just render it and say I'm happy with that, but if you want to manipulate it afterwards, it's always good to render some of the render passes. So next to your VPR here, you've got this drop down, and this has all the different render passes. Now, if they show up blank when you go on some of them, that's probably because there is no elements attached to that. So, for instance, there is an alpha, which I like to render out because I can use it to select the whole set of objects in Photoshop or the outside. Your object ID is really good to have as well, because then you can select the objects and they've got different colours and stuff. And then there's obviously all other bits of information and stuff that you can use here as well. So for instance, I know there's some specular, so if I go down to the specular direct, you can see the specular pass as well. So again, and it works with all the other passes if you're using them. So if there's a shadows and you want the shadow pass, that's another thing you can manipulate as well. So let's just show you, let me just show you how you can export these settings. So first thing we'll do is we'll go over to the render tab and render properties, and then you go into buffers. So this holds all the actual render passes here, like it does show you on your VPR. So I've selected the ones I want. So I want the beauty pass, the main one. I want the alpha. I want the object ID. What else did I say I was going to select? I was going to select the direct specular, and then let's take the shadow as well. So let's say I want these 5 or 6 render passes to start with. So once you've done that, you simply, under the render, just click render frame. It's going to render out the actual frame for you, like so. Press continue, and then under the buffers here are the actual different passes that I want. So all I've got to do now is save these passes as JPEGs into the folder. So I've done that. The only one I haven't done is shadow. So let me just show you again as JPEG. Let me just find those render passes on my desktop. So here we are, look, and let's just shadow. Okay, so let's jump into Photoshop. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to open them one by one and drag them in. There's a little script. So if you go to File, Script, Load Files into Stack. So what this is going to do is you choose the files and it'll put them all on layers for you. So you go to Browse. Here's what I want. So you select them all, holding Shift, press OK. Here they all are. And then let's just press OK. So what this is going to do, it's going to bring them in one by one and just put them on top of each other in any particular way. So I'm going to put the alpha in the background. And this is behind, so I'm going to go okay, and again the specular will look at that, and the shadow. So I'm just bothered about this currently. So let's show you how I would go about maybe selecting stuff. So if I go to my object ID and let's turn off this layer, and let's say for instance I wanted to change this object a little bit. So let's use the magic wand tool and I'll select this color, then we'll turn it off and go back into the beauty pass. So now we know we've got it selected. We can go to image. Let's just go to basic brightness and contrast, and let's say I wanted to make it a bit more brighter, like so. You can see what I'm doing. Look, you can play around with it. Let's try another one. Let's try this one again. Image adjustments. Let's try color balance. Let's make it a little bit more reddish in each one of the highlights and stuff, and the shadows as well. So it's got a strong red, and then I can deselect it. I'm happy with that. With the actual alpha channel, I could select the background, go back into my main beauty pass, and I could, like, again, make it a bit darker. If if I wanted, like so. I'll deselect it. So let's have a look at the, so that's just, you can manipulate that as much as you want. With this specular, let's go and drag it above my beauty path. So it's already got the specular on, but we're adding it again. So just from the actual overlays though, you need to go and add it to colour dodge. So it is there still. If you see, you can very slightly see the overlap, but what you could do is you could then come into maybe levels and manipulate it to make it even brighter, look like so. So you've got a really bright specular to each one of them. Or then again, you could just blend them in with the other one, bringing it down a little bit. Okay, and the last layer, let's just move the shadow up in between, just there. And let's change it to subtract. And it is quite dark, as you can see. However, if we just turn it off completely to where it was, and then you've got the shadow pass if you want to play with it to make the shadow darker. It's just there if you wish. But yes, I mean, it's as easy as that, playing around. And again, there is other render passes that you can bring a whole load in to manipulate your final render if you wish. So thanks for listening.